back with another one. Gaslight fam, little sister Aimee, big brother Derek, we're here for another one. We're going to jump right into the episode. We have a lot coming to you. I know one thing we're going to be talking about is you found out the gender of your baby, which we're not revealing until Sunday. Yeah. So you'll have to tune into our next week pod to figure that information out. But we'll discuss how you figured it out. Not how you figured it out, but I don't know if y'all did what you planned to do, what you discussed on the podcast, if you did it a different way. Either way, I want to talk to you about it. But let's jump into the first question. You have a question from Reddit, Ask Men. What do you got for me?
Yes. So Reddit's Ask Men asks, for my sleep wrestler homies, what's the worst thing you've accidentally done to a partner?
In sleep? Yeah, so for me, one, super active sleeper, like punching, karate, chopping, kicking. I've done everything from for whatever reason in college, what I would do was I would sleep on my elbow. I guess instead of an alarm, or I guess my alarm would go off, and then I would sleep on my elbow so that maybe once I was off balance, then I would like shake myself and become more awake. But ultimately, that didn't do really well. So but I guess my body just knows that. So sometimes my wife will wake up and I'm on my elbow just looking right at her, eyes closed, facing her. But so that there's that one movement. Maybe the second one would be riding a bike. So one time she was being kicked. She was like, "Why are you kicking me?" And then I'm like pedaling a bike right in my sleep to the lack of, she was not very amused. But she said I was panting as though I was going uphill and everything. And I think, I'm not sure, but I think I remember even being in the dream, going up the hill on a bike. So I think those are my probably more active things. So needless to say, when our son arrives, he will not be in the bed with us because he probably wouldn't survive a night with us. Are you a night wrestler?
No, not at all.
Gotcha.
I sleep very still. Khalil does sleep with me.
Yeah.
So.
Does he have a castle or a wall barrier around him, or he is just...
No, he's just right there.
Are you a side sleeper where you're facing him, a back sleeper where your back's to him? Are you not back sleeper? Are you a face him, away from him, or are you on your back or on your stomach for some reason?
I do like to sleep on my stomach. Can't sleep. You know that if you're pregnant, you can't sleep on your back?
I heard that's actually false from the doctor's office.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, the other day I fell asleep on my back, and my arms and my legs, I woke up and they were all numb.
Interesting. Well,
I had no blood flow. Like they were in pain. I texted Jeremy and I said, "Come help! Like, come massage my legs and arms," because they were like lack of oxygen. But I have low blood pressure, so.
Well, they did say the detail of if you do it, your body will tell you if you're not supposed to keep doing it. So I guess your body was telling you. Maybe it was telling you before when you were in your sleep, and it lets you continue to sleep. But that's what they told Angelita, at least, which was you can do it. It's not going to be a problem for the baby. When you become uncomfortable, that's when it's probably uncomfortable for the baby as well.
Yeah.
So you'll gauge your comfort with their comfort.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That might be one of the many things where, hey, during the early 2000s, they said don't sleep on your back, and then 2010s they said okay, never mind, it's okay, and then it's like whatever.
Going back, yeah.
Maybe it's back and forth because again, our most recent doctor told us that's said online, and of course this thing always gets me whether it's real or not. They always say, oh, she did the magic phrase that works for me, which was there's no studies that actually show that it's bad to sleep on your back. So again, I don't even have to go in my head.
You don't have to go looking.
A credible person said there's studies. Did I go verify those studies? No. Was I a true skeptic? No. I totally just believed it. Okay, cool. That was good enough for me. But it does make you think of that had to come from somewhere.
But are there studies done that shows it's more beneficial if you sleep on your left side? I've heard like that also.
Left versus right?
Yeah. That your left side is better for baby blood flow than your right side.
Oh, I haven't heard that either.
But I don't know if that's... I don't really ask them. I go to the appointment and I'm like, everything is great. And then Jeremy's like, aren't you still like, you're throwing up, you're forgetting things, you're doing all this. And I'm like, well, how am I supposed to remember all that if I'm forgetting things?
So you're not somebody who will keep a note on your iPhone about what's happening, so you just bring up the note?
I try, and then I even forget to pull it out. Or then I get there and I'm like, oh, I don't even feel that anymore.
Yeah, Angelita will have dates of things that she's looking at or counting, or when it comes to your whatever blood pressure or even the kicks that you count every so often or whatever. Of course, we're further along. So, but again, she is certainly the exceptional one. So even like back in the day when we were even on the birth control pill, my wife's somebody who would literally never ever miss a day. Like, not like 99% of the time, 100% of the time. Like, she's somebody, when she's on something, it's like 100%. There's no. So then it's not surprising to me to see her take her reports that she's created herself from her, just in her iPhone. Yeah.
That's crazy. But yeah.
All right. Question for you.
Ask.
The friendship question. What is something that most people or friendships lack that you want?
Accountability.
Break it down.
So, like if your friends say they're going to do something, I know that like a lot of people don't really care. But like if a friend of mine tells me that they're going to do something, I really would like them to do it. Like if I tell them, really in advance about something like, a party or, an event, and I don't want to have to remind them about it, and I want them to still like be consistent with like showing up. So like a lot of times I feel like, or if your friend says like, oh yeah, like I'll get with you later about whatever, like I don't mind if they forget or whatever, but like if I'm bringing it up later or if I like talk to them about it, I want to be actually able to make something happen. I think that people say things and they're like, yeah, we'll get together later. And then I try to get together later and they're like, oh yeah, like I really don't have time or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, why'd you say that in the first place?
So if I would simplify it, you're talking about the idea of follow through. So they say something and then actually go do it, which in my own personality, I know we're actually going to be ultimately talking about from the book of Knowing Yourself. I have totally had the personality where I'd say I would do certain things or make phone calls, especially like, again, in a Christian culture where recruitment is such a high priority and a valued skill and a valued character practice. It's like the idea of telling somebody I'm going to call them if I meet somebody at the store or I met somebody on campus. Like, there's probably hundreds of people I told that I was going to call. Again, that's probably a little bit different than a friendship because it was a brand new person that was in my circle or potentially could have been in my circle. But the idea is the same, which is like the follow through. Or even if I saw somebody at church and we talked about maybe hanging out, it was so common for me to say that, but then not actually do it. And I think that's something I think now I could tell if it's something that's gonna happen if we put it on the calendar or not. But I could totally see myself not, if you would have talked to me again, if you and I were peers or just friends from my 20 to 30, probably that 10-year period.
Yep.
I totally could see myself as somebody who would trigger you in the friendship of, but you said this, but then you didn't do this. So.
Well, we would always go out for my birthday.
That's true.
But that's what I'm talking about. If you would have said it and then we didn't do it, you wouldn't be my friend right now.
Yeah.
Probably. You'd just be my brother who lives far away.
Indeed. That's a good one, though. I think I was asking myself, because the first part of the question is, what do most friendships or people lack? And maybe it's whatever the caliber of friends that I have. I think they're in general pretty exceptional about following through.
Mm-hmm.
And if something comes up on my side, they've been gracious or generous enough as far as if something coming up or something happening or me needing to shift, they've been gracious. So then like there's an element of we exchange that back and forth. But I'm wondering if there's anything else on my side that I see other friendships lack that I want. Do you have any others on your list? Not something that you want, but that you've observed that people lack or friendships lack?
Ooh.
Ooh.
I do feel like
I found it. Go ahead.
some people aren't like generous. Like, I don't know how to describe that. Like, me, if someone's my friend, I want to invite them to my son's birthday. But like, if I have all these friends and I don't invite them to my son's birthday, or if I invite them and they don't go,
Yeah.
to me, like, I would feel like they're not really my friends.
Hmm.
So I don't know how to describe that.
Would it be the same if they had plans, or the plan kind of shifts it so it's not as intense?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, but do they tell you right away? So what would be, so if you invited somebody to something and they couldn't come, what would be the most palatable or acceptable way to go about letting you know? Would it be day of, in advance? What would make you feel best?
It would make me feel best just to know in general. Like this is what I can't stand. I can't stand it like, because it used to happen all the time when I worked in a restaurant, and, you have friends that you work with, and you tell them, like, oh, my son's having a birthday, like, come to the birthday, and then the girls are like, oh, yeah, we're going to go, we're going to have a good time, and da-da-da, yeah, we're going to be there. And then the day of, nobody goes.
Yeah.
So, and then it's like, were they genuinely thinking about going?
Yeah.
Maybe, but really, when the time comes, would they rather go to a birthday party for a kid or go out to brunch and have drinks and go out to party that night? You know what I mean? It's like, really, are they going to prioritize your kid if you're not even really like, you're friends, but you're not like friends? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think that happens a lot. Like, you talk to your, like, not me per se, because I mean, I really just talk to our family members a lot, but like, I felt like when I would have friends, they would, invite a bunch of girls to go do stuff. And a lot of times I would go to birthday parties, I would take a gift, and like, I'd be the only one there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wow, this is weird.
Even though there was hype about it beforehand.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so my answer to the question I asked you would be and maybe it's because we're almost in a culture of niceness, and like, maybe as the pendulum seems to swing from one arena to another, especially with the younger generation, maybe more so millennials than Gen Z, but the idea of like the cult of nice and of consideration and so everything is so nice that what I'd say a lot of people can lack is sometimes I wonder, like, does anybody tell you the truth about how you suck in a certain area of life? Not that you suck overall, although somebody could suck overall. And that doesn't have to be, again, that word, but does anybody tell you that you're terrible in this one area of your life? Or so all of the people you know, nobody tells you any of the validity as to how you can become better, especially in the arena we're talking today about this idea of knowing yourself. So nobody gives you objective feedback. Now, if everybody thinks that you're, again, great, but then like nobody is giving you feedback, because there's this idea in the Proverbs in the Bible, it talks about like wounds from a friend can be trusted. Mm-hmm. And I wonder at times, like, do the friends stop saying the hard things because they want to stay friends? And for me, I'm going like, there's another proverb, again, also in the scripture, that says, he who rebukes a man in the end will gain more favor than he who has a flattering tongue. And it's the idea that, okay, just the person who says good things and nice things all the time, that's one version. But then there's one that actually tells the truth and actually speaks to help you elevate your life and build your life up. And when they are able to speak and tap into your life, to me, that there's something so precious and valuable about that. Mm-hmm. And but again, I've just thought about it like for me, like of course I've talked before about the weight loss journey. Did anybody? I've asked myself, not that it's a responsibility, but how many of my friends would have been like, hey, bro, like, it seems like you look undisciplined with the way your body looks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, like, that's something I'd appreciate. Again, it's the spur pushing me on to this greatness, and, like, maybe even let's neglect some of the nice and be more raw and more real and call me into an element of greatness. And I can understand how some people won't do it. Maybe they're not in shape either. So like, I'm not going to call you to get in shape if I'm not in shape. But I value people who want me at my best.
Yeah. But it is true to say, like, you can hear those things from a friend. Like, it means more when you hear it from a friend than if, like, it's a stranger. Or, like, you know, when you see, like, people posting online and then the trollers in the comments are like, you know, lose weight, blah, blah, blah. Or, man, I've seen a whole bunch of them. Not like a whole bunch of them, but like I saw this post one time and they were like coming up with a bunch of different ways to call someone overweight, like all in the comments.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. People just go to town in the comments.
And I suppose that's the exceptional, rare viral content. But I wonder on the other side, when it's like a small group of your friends that saw a post.
Yeah.
Would somebody say something?
Yeah, but even just like in person in general, like friend to friend, it is hard. It's hard to be like, well, you know, nobody ever has a problem telling me that I need to start eating more.
Preach.
They always tell me that.
Preach. Well done. I'm glad I do.
Yeah. The other day,
are you triggered by such a comment?
Well, I'm just like, nobody goes around and tells like people who are overweight, like, maybe you need to stop eating so much. And then if I'm telling people that they need to chill out and not eat so much, then I'm looked at like, what are you doing? You know? But that's one, okay, I don't tell everybody, but you know, sometimes I feel like, even like Jeremy, like I feel like, and Jeremy's not overweight, but like I feel like he's eating too fast, or like he's eating too much. Like we'll buy a bag of chips and I'm like, hey, I think you're eating too many chips, like you need to stop. Yeah. And like mom too, like mom will like be eating really fast and I'll tell her like, okay, for the next 5 minutes you can only take one bite a minute because you're overdoing it a little. And like she'll like,
does that usually go over well? Would you say it's overwhelmingly welcomed input? Is it middle?
It is never welcomed. Never welcomed by either one of them. But they listen, and then later on, like, I want to say 95% of the time it's unwelcome, but 100% of the time afterwards they're like, oh my gosh, thank you for stopping me. Like.
Well, I think the interesting thing about it is sometimes it's like the framing of something as opposed to what the actual message is. Because I find it when I start a conversation with my own fear, like, and I just realized even again with a kid on the way, I'm like afraid of so many things. And I don't even feel like fear is it's a large part of my temperament.
Yeah.
But with a kid on the way, it's like, how, again, you mentioned sleeping in when you're pregnant and how you sleep on your back or on your side. Again, I'm like listening to my wife breathe at night. I'm like, okay, how's she breathing? Is she breathing okay? Like, yeah, even last night I nudged her. I was like, hey, like you're breathing. I don't know. Again, I usually would do my best to not wake her up at all. But last night I was like, hold on, like your breathing is just like, it's scaring me. So just like, let me just make sure you're okay. Okay, you're okay. Okay, cool. And so I guess what I'm processing what you're saying is there's one version of it looks like you're trying to control somebody. Another version is like I'm scared that you could choke.
Yeah.
Now it's like instead of her going, oh, Amy's just trying to control me. Oh no, Amy's afraid that I can choke and I won't be here for her. Now all of a sudden, again, the one is about you're controlling me, the other one is about a fear, and a fear is so much more
impactful or
inviting and welcoming. Oh, I want to help my daughter, and for mom's case, or my wife in Jeremy's case, to not be afraid. And I find myself more motivated by thinking about, hey, how can I make my wife not fearful versus how can I just obey whatever her command is or something like that.
Yeah.
So it just made me think about the framing of stuff like that. And it's interesting too. Let me turn down the AC because I'm getting a little warm. I know we had joked. I know you teased in the past about being a recovering, liar. And then we joked about the recovering alcohol stuff. So what's your perspective on that? On this side of it, again, we even had a joke about a joke of the intervention at whose event was it? I'm trying to remember who it was.
Chris's baby shower.
Oh, Chris's baby shower. Yeah. So on this side of it, again, so for me, I'm almost like make something jovial. Again, silly but real. There's something real in there. What's your perspective on it on this side of even those two ideas of talking about two areas of character? I would say, which is the character one of lying, and then character two of drinking too much. What's your perspective on those call outs on this side of it?
Obviously, like, nobody wants to be called out, right? So like thinking about it, it does give you something to think about. Like, I think later on, like when I'm on my own or I'm doing something, I try to think like, okay, what is something that's going to be beneficial for me? You know, like, I know that especially like you, or like even I think, I don't know if Shanice had said something that day or whatever it was, but like, I know that y'all are never going to tell me something to hurt me, or because you don't like me, or because I'm doing something that's directly impacting you. Like, it has nothing to do with you or, you know, like her or anybody else, like individually. It's about like you're saying something because you have a genuine concern about me.
That's fair. Yeah.
On my own, you know? So like, I think about it now and it's like, yeah, like when I'm on my own, what do I want to be? What do I want to be like, right? Like, so if I'm by myself and nobody's around, who do I want to be?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what, like I've thought about now more. I don't think too much because my brain is pretty foggy right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think. Thinking about it right now in this moment, that's what my thoughts are.
But even your frame of it it's very wholesome in the sense of like processing that on this side of it is, oh, they care about me. They're not saying it simply to hurt me. I think it's an interesting frame too, because I've reframed a part of that in my own life of going, whether it's, and I forget if you're an anti-vaxxer or where you're at with the vaccine stuff, or where you're at with any of the surgery procedures or whatever. I guess I know where you're at with the epidural. But the idea is something can be painful and hurt, and it can be something that helps. Yeah. So I find myself they're not saying it's a hurt me. No, I think they are saying it to hurt me and help me. So it's like, it's a hurt and, as opposed to, no, they're not saying it's a hurt me. Well, it's for me, again, I become more comfortable knowing what I'm saying will hurt at least a part of somebody. Yeah. Whether even it's the ego. And I go, I have an ego too. The ego, you know, I've tried to give, and one of my friends, Keem, and I, we kind of talk about ego in terms of like Venom from a Spider-Man perspective. Like, okay, there's an evil inside of me, and that person has a voice, and I got to give him a voice so I understand what he's thinking too. So he's thinking, hey, like, I always want to look good in front of people. I never want to be checked. I never want to be corrected. I never want to be challenged. I never want to, all of that. Mm-hmm. But then there is that Spider-Man or that good version inside of me that's also going like, no, like, I want to be humble and I want to be challenged, and I feel like I'm going to be my best if people correct me and check me along the way. So yeah, I think there's an element of people hurting me? And also, it's also I try to ask myself, oh, what part of me are they hurting? Oh, they're hurting the ego part. Oh, the ego.
Mm-hmm.
So all of that to say, I was just curious of what you thought about it, because you were talking about perspective on you challenging, whether it was Mom or Jeremy, when it came to food.
I do think it's hard too. Like, it's hard, especially to say something when you know somebody's initial reaction is going to be like to come back at you. You know what I mean? Like, even, like me saying something to Mom or saying something to Jeremy, like it's hard for me to even want to say something sometimes when I feel like I don't want them to then yell at me. Like, like sometimes I'll say something to Mom. She's like, well, I haven't eaten all day. Like, leave me alone. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
So it's like, sometimes I don't want to say anything because I don't want to get that negative feedback. But it's even the same thing. Like, if I confronted somebody like else, right, about like, let's say you're drinking too much or you're doing, whatever too much. I get nervous that I don't want, anybody to just come back and be like, start getting mad at me or start blaming me or start getting emotional and telling me like, telling me things, which is, I feel like, I don't know if you felt like I did that when y'all were talking to me about it, but I do know sometimes when people are trying to give me like this constructive criticism or whatever you want to call it, or I try not to like bite somebody's head off and get super angry about it, because I don't want to discourage people correcting my behavior. Like, yes, it does bother me and I don't like to hear it, but I don't want to like bite someone's head off just because they're correcting my behavior.
That's good.
And like, I get scared like in those situations to say something, because I know even later on somebody might think about it and they might be grateful, but just that initial like getting my head bit off in general, like, oh, I get nervous about that.
Yeah. And I think there's one strategy or question that I've asked in the past when I find myself gonna maybe give some helpful feedback. So it's almost like a process going. Is this something that's best coming from me? Is it best coming from someone else? Is it best now? Is it best later? Because it's kind of like that. When we learn in school, it's so what I'm gonna say, why I'm gonna say it. If I can answer what I'm thinking about. So in this case, in the context of drinking, and why I'm gonna say it, why I care about her in this context, or I care about my nephew, I care about Khalil and his safety if you're driving or whatever, then I care about these two individuals. And then, so I have my what, the topic, and I have the why because I care. And now it's the how and the when and who. Is it me? Am I the one to bring this up, or somebody else? And so what I'll sometimes do when I'm almost trying to find a way out of not again, this is the coward, I think. The coward, but maybe there's some strategy in there, which is asking, who all have you talked to about this topic? And then that helps me to go, she's talked to these. Okay, and then what did they say about it? Oh, they didn't. So they didn't say anything to correct the behavior. They encouraged it. They said it. There's nothing wrong with it. And I was like, okay, that's one way of looking at something.
Yeah.
But anyway, all of that to say is it's made me, it oftentimes, unfortunately or unfortunately, they'll come back and say, oh, you're the only one I told. So now, if I thought I was going to get an escape by somebody else having already addressed it, or somebody else maybe address it in the future, then, so they said it to other people. And if I ask what those other people have said, then a lot of times it makes me go, okay, let me just say this, and then let somebody process it on the back end. And I try to be always willing to apologize for the approach. Like, I could always apologize for the how, but back to the what is still the same. Again, drinking is the same. I mean, the why is because I'm caring. I'm not going to apologize for caring. I'm not going to apologize for the topic, but I could always apologize for the delivery. I could be too harsh. I could be too loud. Or I could have done it with different words. So that's something too I try to keep in mind as I'm in confrontation type situations and bringing things up to people.
Yes.
And Angelita, I think when she's over here, every now and then she'll overhear the way I'm coming at friends, and she's like, because she has, again, very few of those confrontational conversations. And I try to, the closer my friends are, the more we'll have back and forth disagreement. And I'm really comfortable in that space. And I don't feel like I gotta pretend that I agree with everything somebody's saying. I'm like, different page, different. Or I'll have the opposite perspective. Or it kind of punch holes, kind of push back on the idea that they're speaking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I brought you a gift.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Nice.
Okay. It's in my pocket.
Should I change the camera angle?
Yeah, change the camera angle so I can show.
So, this one or the one above?
This one's fine. So, here it is.
Roll up. Thanks.
They're the last two in the box.
That is very generous of you. The proverb says, the generous person will prosper. Those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed.
Yep.
So thank you. Very thoughtful of you.
Yes. I brought you a fruit roll-up today.
Nice.
Because I was going to bring one, and then I said, oh, I forgot. I need to take Derek one, too.
Do you know what your generation means when they say OD? Is it just overdose or something else? Overdone?
I'm sure OD means overdose.
But like in a context...
Why? What context was it used? Yeah.
I think the context is like overdone. Like, oh, they went OD. But now they're not talking about like they overdosed.
Well, I mean, you can OD and not die.
Right. I'm talking about like OD, like somebody like yelled at somebody. Which I guess that could be connected to the...
Overdone.
Yeah.
I guess it might not be my generation because I have no idea what's going on.
Oh, okay. So you're on TikTok a lot. Are you a TikTok comment reader as well? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
Of course.
Which I feel like...
I'm a Reddit user. Of course I'm a comment reader.
Well, in a comment reader, depending on the platform, will give you an idea of how people are talking in the generation. There's a lot of young people using Twitter. So then, like, Twitter slang is something like, oh, okay, cool, interesting. Like, aura right now is super popping on like Twitter. It's like, oh, everything has aura, or they're auraless, and I'm like, okay, so this is the new word of like
auraless.
Yeah, like they'll talk about the prior coach of the Lakers, Darvin Ham, was auraless, and they said the difference between like Darvin Ham and JJ Redick, according again to these Twitter people, is that JJ has aura and he has basketball expertise. So
I didn't even know that was like a thing.
Aura? Auraless?
I had kind of been seeing it in the comments, but like I guess I don't read enough. Like and I've said this before, like I'm the kind of person who will over get into like specific things. So like if I watch a video about something specific, like instead of like spending an hour scrolling through different things, like I'll look at one thing and I will like investigate it for an hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or 30 minutes or whatever, how long it is.
It was interesting because as much as popping as it is right now, there's a Rihanna song that came on. Like, I don't know if you ever do this. Do you have Apple Music or do you have something else?
Yeah, I have Apple Music.
Yeah, you're making a taco over there.
Yeah, I am going to make a taco.
Okay. Apple Music. So have you ever said, hey Siri, play music?
No.
Okay. Well, what she does is she ultimately creates like a random playlist, like from songs that you've listened to or things that she thinks you like. She's actually pretty good. And she'll even bring me new music that I haven't even heard before. I'm like, oh, this is actually in my...
I like this. Bop. It's a bop.
So Rihanna, in one of her older songs, she was talking about somebody's aura. And I was like, oh, dang. Like, it's funny how you could go back in time because of songs have dates when they came out, or shows have dates. And you could see when a phrase was used, even though it wasn't popping, the way it is now. Like, aura is like, I see it all the time now.
I bet you I'm going to start seeing it now.
Yeah. I don't believe it. So.
Because the phone's always listening. Do you believe that?
Yeah. It has to, right? Because it's always listening for Hey Siri or Alexa or whatever.
I don't know.
Oh. All right.
So.
Your point. you want to bring up from the chapter? And if you don't know what we're doing, my little sister and I are going through 15 Laws of Growth together. One of the best books on personal growth, personal development you could possibly go through. All right. This week, the chapter is on awareness, and the theme is know yourself to grow yourself.
So, what I was looking at in this chapter was here where it talks about, do you like what you're doing now? So we've had the conversation in the past, like when you're, like whatever makes you happy, right? Like, so you've said that you don't strictly believe in like, okay, like just do whatever makes you happy. Like I was thinking about that, like being the same kind of thing. Like when people are doing things every day, like, do you really know what you enjoy doing, or you're just doing it like for a pastime, you know? Like it talks about it here in the book where it says, you know, I'm amazed by how many people I meet every day who don't like doing what they're doing for a living. And I think that some people can even be doing something that they think they like, or sometimes I feel like I'm doing things that I think I like, but it's really just that I'm trying to make the best out of everything that I do.
Yeah.
Going back to like the whole, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it. I think you can learn to enjoy the things that you do just in general. But yeah.
That's good. The weirdest thing about that idea is I thought doing certain things would make me peak happy. I was like, the expectation of happiness in coaching people for a large amount of money. I was like, oh, if I was making this amount of money doing this activity, then like life would be perfect. And I'd actually want to get there early, and I'd actually wake up with a fire in my stomach or whatever. And all of these like ideas of, oh, if I ever did that. But then I did do it, and then I was like, oh, I don't feel that much more passionate. Actually, I might feel even less passionate. I'm like, and then like even like the injustice of even sometimes looking at some of the things that I was able to do. I'm going, this isn't fair. I'm able to make this amount of money when somebody's over there cleaning toilets and making so little amount of money. Like, how is this even fair from a societal standpoint? Like, how can this even be? And I think even like the existential of like, how is this even possible? And it makes me frustrated because sometimes I've been on the I don't even know. I don't even know if I've ever been on the unfair sides of life. But I'm often on, if we're talking about not privileged and privileged, most of the time from what I can remember is I've been on the privileged side where there's more opportunities, more blessings, more things like that. And then I go, so like even having a frame of reference for what that wouldn't be like. Anyway, all I had to say is sometimes when you are doing what you want to do for an amount of money that you wanted to do it at, it can be less fulfilling and less happiness, whatever, overflowing from your life than when you were doing something that you thought you couldn't wait to not do it. Whether it was like, I was like, I don't want to misremember things. And we talked about memory from the past already. But I was like, why do I feel like when I was making $5.15 an hour at McDonald's, there was a greater fulfillment just goofing around with guys in the back as we were making burgers, you know? And then, or when I was in the moving company, moving things from place to place, you're like sweating in the 100-degree plus in San Antonio summers, and I'm like burning hot. But like that was such a exciting time to go to somebody's house you'd never seen and see their furniture and see what they have, and like moving into a new place. So it's like an adventure every time you go out. If you move 3 people in a day, it's 3 different adventures, 3 different apartments, 3 different homes. Or double that, maybe 6 if you went to 3 different homes to start and 3 different homes. And then if you took a stop at the storage facility, then you're like, it's like this adventure all over the city. And I'm like, oh, but then like coaching, it's pretty much you're in one spot coaching people. And anyway, all that to say is it was surprising how a lot of my expectation for happiness or fulfillment or any synonymous word you want to use there wasn't really doing it.
Yeah. And I as I was, going through the book and thinking, like, yourself, whenever you're setting goals, I feel like a lot of the times, and even, it said it in the book, like, you don't necessarily have to grow as a person to, like, reach your goals. So, like how you're saying, you wanted to be a coach, you wanted to do that. And that's, something that you're working towards. If you get there, do you feel, like, happier? Is it really helping you internally? Did you really grow as a person to get there, or you just got there and now you're still the same person? Or, I think that sometimes when we're trying super hard to reach our goals, or we're thinking like, oh, if I just get past this line, I'll be where I'm supposed to be. Or if I, like, all I have to do is make it to this point and I'll be good. And then you are trying to get there, and let's say you do get there and it's not like what it's cut out to be, and it's a lot more work, and it's like you didn't grow in yourself, you didn't get to know yourself, you don't understand like what you internally want to do or what you internally feel like doing. So then you get to this point and all of a sudden it's like you have no more education, you have no more knowledge, you haven't gotten yourself to a better place to even maintain the position that you have.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. And I think that similarly, there's that pursuit, it's the Miley Cyrus song, the song her mom loves, which is The Climb. It's about to climb up the mountain, not get into the mountaintop. And I think I related to that with the idea of even building a studio. I think there was so much learning that I had to do. You mentioned stud finding last week, to find the studs in the ceiling, to build out the table, to figure out how a circle saw worked, and to put all the tables together, and to buy the microphones and the microphone stands and the cameras and the lights, and figure out all of these details. And then ultimately it's like, oh, like to get to the end and going, oh, I was having such a good time building the studio. Even the motivation or incentive to actually do stuff in the studio wasn't the same as I was like, oh, I just kind of want to keep on building and adding pieces. Of course, it's super expensive. You can't, I guess somebody could, but not everybody can just go, all right, let me add another camera or another light or another something here, something there. All that to say is, it is interesting to gauge and to have the awareness to ask, how fulfilling is this for me right now? Is this what I thought it was?
And once you have it, you have to do something with it. Like you actively have to be doing more things, starting more stuff, having people over, doing videos, doing podcasts, talking to people. Like if you came here and you set it all up and then you didn't do anything, you would have achieved the goal of getting it all set up, but you wouldn't be following through.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, for sure. The whole point was to be able to have great conversations like this in the studio, and it wasn't just to build something, just to build it. Yes. I'll take a meta approach from the chapter, and I like how it's talking about. It was almost like a career gauge, a vibe that I was getting from the chapter. So the meta approach, I'd say a big picture as far as awareness has been key, I think, for me, as different things are happening to me, or happening with me and happening to me, to be able to ask, what am I thinking or feeling right now? So I'll use the illustration now for the the wood pizza block that we had got when we were doing seminars a few years ago. And so it's cracked here. You mentioned last week when you were over that you would help fix it. And then even today you were talking about like seeing the video about how to actually fix it in a succinct or simple way. And then I was like, and I was like, oh, you're going to take it or whatever? You're like, yeah. And I found myself hesitant to even say that, because I'm like, not somebody who wants help. And then I'm even more so, somebody who wants help from my little sister, not because she's not helpful, that you don't have an expertise, but because in my own ego, so I'll take the awareness about my ego. My ego goes, nah, I'd rather do without. Ego says, I'd rather do without than ask somebody for help or asking my little sister for help. And I think I could, sometimes I think I would say even an awareness of a weakness of mine is I never want to inconvenience somebody. Even though I'm okay being inconvenienced and serving and helping a friend, but being okay with people being inconvenienced as well for what they're doing for me or for us. Even like, you know, my wife and I were talking about like the baby shower that is being planned for her. We're like, hey, we don't want to be entitled. We're like, hey, anybody need some money? Like people that are planning or whatever, because we don't want to be we don't want to be like, oh yeah, of course y'all gonna do something for us and absorb all the expenses. But we want to we want to be grateful. We want to be humble. We want to be down to earth. But we also we want to carry the load. We don't want somebody overly burdened. But yeah, anyway, so there's that challenge that I could face, whether it's letting my little sister fix this dish or whatever you want to call it, can be challenging for my ego, for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. Internally. Yeah.
Yeah. So that, and I think there's a lot of that. And I think the coach in me, in learning about myself, of like, what's my love language? What would you say yours is?
Oh, I don't know. Acts of service.
Acts of service? I'm going to say them out loud? Or you got them?
No, you go, because I always forget one.
Words of affirmation, acts of service, physical touch, gifts, quality time. So acts of service for you?
Yeah, probably.
Nice. I think we established that because you were talking about how you can, how the people you feel closest to are people who do things for you and also ask you to do things for them. So you feel like, oh, I'm loving toward them and they're loving toward me, so we're loving toward one another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think mine could be so inside the book, there's the languages and then there's the dialects as the subsets of a language. And so, for example, touch isn't just, oh, give me a lot of high fives and I felt really loved. Okay, well, so my wife just gives me high five. That's what love is for. It's like, okay, hold on. Like, okay. So then the dialect is figuring out what kind of touch is meaningful in what kind of situation and setting. So like even with words, then is it just, if words of affirmation, which that's probably my chief love language, but it would be what kinds of words are most meaningful. So for me, the chief would be words of respect, which means when people give commands as opposed to requests, I could totally be triggered back to ego. My ego could be triggered. Like, why are you commanding me? Like, whether I say it out loud, that's what like it's happening inside. So I have to wrestle that down as somebody making a request. Or when somebody makes an assumption that's negative about me or about what I missed in my assessment, I can, again, be triggered by that idea. Oh, like feeling the lack of respect in my ability to think through a situation, which it's not necessarily. There's might be a considerate person who's thinking about possibilities and they want to make sure I have a perspective because there's somebody in my life and they didn't want to be somebody who like lets me go, start driving without understanding how a blinker works. You know? So.
Yep.
But yeah, so those meta categories, there's the meta category of love, your love language, the meta category of your apology languages. You thought through? You and I think have at least discussed them in a broad way. Do you know what your apology language is? Are you going to say them again?
Yeah, say them again.
All right. Ownership, requesting. So ownership is like, oh, it's my fault. Like, oh, that's me. Like I always think about the thumb pointing inward. The next finger, I have all these on my fingers for association purposes. This is requesting forgiveness. Like, oh, will you forgive me for what I said or what I did? And there's natural overlap between those two and between others as well. The next one is expressing regret. And it's like when they can understand what took place and they're expressing, like I felt bad that I put you in a situation where I didn't pick you up and you had to walk home at night and you were scared and maybe worried about your safety.
Yeah.
Like, so there's that regret. The next one is restitution, which is, let's say McDonald's messed up your order. Okay, what can I do to make it right? Whether it's fixing the order and throwing a couple apple pies in, like they're trying to think through what can they say or do to make things better between the two of you. And the last one is prevent pattern. And this is the strategy of they're going to try to not do that again. Because they're imperfect, they can't guarantee they won't do it again, depending on what it is. But for me, so it's like, when it comes to like, so the most awful version of like a mistake would be like infidelity in a marriage. So it's not like, that one doesn't need to be, I'm going to try it. It's like, I'm never going to do it again. But in the sense of like patience, which would be the opposite, maybe rudeness or harshness from gentleness. So like they're going to try to be better with being patient and gentle and not being rude and harsh. Anyway, those are the 5. Did any one of those speak to you more than another?
Probably regret.
Expressing regrets.
Expressing regrets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So these, I think, from an awareness standpoint from the book, again, the reason I said meta is like I love the topic because one thing I wrote about in the marriage book, which was like each one of us is kind of like an owner's manual. Like nobody has an owner's manual on your life, but if you help set other people up for success with you, then it really gives them an advantage because they know how you operate. They know how you work. They know how you tick. So I think those are a few thoughts on awareness that spoke to me about the chapter.
Yep. Yeah. I like.
All right. Any other thoughts on the book before we move on to our next?
No other thoughts on the book before we move on to the next.
All right. Topic number 5 is the Biden versus Trump debate.
Was there a debate?
It's on Thursday.
Oh. I was like, I missed that. I haven't seen any clips on TikTok.
Well, supposedly, I don't know if it's true. Y'all in the chat can let us know what you know about the debate. Is CNN was trying to say they weren't going to let social media clips go right, but I was like, I don't know if they can regulate that. Like I think on Twitter they were already saying that they're going to let nobody would be like whatever flagged for posting clips because of course Elon is believes in the wild west and people putting up almost anything.
Yeah, no, Twitter's bad. You can search anything in the search engine.
Yeah. So, do you plan to watch the debate on Thursday?
I might live watch clips. They come out with those clips so fast. Like it's going and they're like, oh, that's a clip. Last 30 seconds, just post it. Post the last 30 seconds, zooming in on the face.
I had one thought. I was like,
they go so fast with it.
There was a part of me that was like
they even make GIFs like right away, and then the GIFs are like in the comments.
Yeah, they're so fast that I'm like, there's no way this just happened. Like whether even if it's a clip from a game.
Yeah,
and like, the game's still on. It's the same quarter that clip was from. Like, how are they doing this?
That's why I think it's fast, because Jeremy will be watching like the games, and then like right as soon as like they miss a shot or they do something, he's like on Twitter, and they're like, I can't believe you just missed that. Like,
yeah. I'm not saying we do this, but what I'm about to say. But one, we also have practice, which I guess you don't have practice. You're not doing anything?
I was gonna try to go.
Oh, cool.
Take Kalal though, and me and Kalal can play around outside.
Nice. But having a live, we're doing a pod right after the debate to respond to
the GIFs.
GIFs. I mean, I suppose that if it goes the way we're thinking, I'm gonna be playing while the debate's happening. You'll be probably with Kalel, so we would only potentially be able to respond to clips at that point. So.
Yep.
But yeah, so there was a thought process of saying, hey, should we be like the noobs, the uninformed people responding to interesting parts of the debate.
Maybe.
Before I would have been like anti like political anything, but now it's like I think for me it's almost like just humor purposes at this point, like things that are funny that either one would say.
Yeah.
And I feel like not that Biden will even say anything funny. I think his are like incidentally funny.
Alan Garza in our group chat in our comments says, "I can bring Wi-Fi box so we can watch the debate live at the practice on Thursday."
Alan, I was wondering if you would even like miss practice to watch the debate, but you're saying bring the Wi-Fi box. That's well, I was wondering. I was even thinking about putting it into the chat about projecting it while we were there at the field. We can watch it and practice at the same time. Nice. That's commitment right there.
We can put it on the voice over the thing. Not the voice
on the Bluetooth.
On the Bluetooth speaker. Alan says, "Let's do it."
Yeah. I like it.
Yep.
All right. So put that in your potential idea box.
Potential idea box for Thursday.
Should we have other guests come too?
Like who?
I don't know. Maybe somebody who watches the pod who's interested. Alan, let us know if you're interested or if you're trying to get home and go to sleep early. All right. All right, that's an idea box. Okay, that's all I really had with Trump and Biden.
Oh, anyways.
You think Biden will say anything funny? Because I feel like Trump is like a natural.
I really do feel like... Have you seen that video of where he's like... Or where Biden's talking and he says something of then fly?
I feel like naturally like when you're on Twitter, it's like everything is clowning him. No, I don't even know which one you're talking about.
I really I want to show you. Like I want you to see it because really he doesn't say anything.
But that's what happens all the time.
Yeah.
So like his are accidentally funny. Trump is like purposefully funny, which is like, yeah. So
sad.
Yeah. All right. Number 6. Okay, so what is your solution for immigration? So you okay.
For those of you who don't know, my dad is from Mexico. He's here legally, but I have to tread lightly.
He's here legally because he's been married to our mom for
25 years.
Two and a half decades.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. So I have to tread lightly. But
so the question comes about what do you think should be done with the illegal aliens that are here?
That are already here?
Mm-hmm.
I think we should, if they want to become citizens, say that they have to serve in the military for 5 years first. And then they can come back and live here.
To that point, somebody had said what every person who is illegally immigrated here as aliens, they should be assigned for a certain period of time to catch child predators, and then it'll be aliens versus predators. You vote for this idea?
I think it's not a bad idea at all.
But do you see any of the content about like them like catching child predators live?
Yeah, I follow like human trafficking profiles. Try to spread awareness.
I feel like you said this before. Have you?
Probably.
Okay. All right, that's all I had on the Twitter trend. I thought it was an interesting aliens versus predators play on what to do with the.
Yeah.
What's the politically correct thing to say about what to call them? You're not supposed to call them aliens?
Minor attracted persons.
Wait, not them.
Oh.
Immigrants? Is immigrants the nicest thing? So predators is bad now? You're not supposed to say predators?
You can. I personally think you can say whatever you want there, but that has been a thing also.
Yeah.
But
All right.
Yeah, no, I don't know about aliens. Immigrants, foreigners,
Illegals is
illegals.
so calling them illegals. I think somebody, I was like Nancy Pelosi apologized for calling them that. So meaning, I guess it's not politically correct to call them illegals.
Why?
I don't know. I guess there's like nice things to call people, and there's like unnice.
Sorry, Dad.
What do you call them?
A beanbag.
Oh my gosh. Okay. 7th topic. Aimee has discovered wrong word. Aimee found out, or Aimee revealed the gender of the baby that's growing within her womb. And tell us, I guess you're not going to tell us if it's boy or girl, but I know you had a
plan.
Pre-plan.
Yeah.
Tell us what the plan was, and tell us if you followed the plan and how, if anything interesting unfolded.
Oh, yeah. So we did follow the plan. So the plan was originally I wanted to go to the park because perfect time to bring it up. I was thinking when we were talking about languages of love, I think Jeremy's language of love is quality time. So a lot of the times he wants us to always spend time just us by ourselves, right? So since we just had a baby last year, I figured this year for this baby we could do things more low-key and just, us. So I felt like for our gender reveal, we could just do it us and then we'll show a video later. So we did the gender reveal and it was me, Jeremy, and Kalel. We went and we had a picnic at the park. So I got everything ready and I made bacon for BLT sandwiches, and we did like a charcuterie board, which Kalel kicked all over the place. But that was after I got pictures and we did everything, so that's great. But yeah, so we bought the cake. So I ended up just going to H-E-B to get the cake because I was like super stressing myself out, and then it was only $15 at H-E-B.
Nice.
Do you believe that? And I don't really like cake, so it wasn't really for the taste.
Yes.
So.
Now, you're probably going to get to this, but the cake has the blue or pink inside of it to reveal boy or girl. Is that accurate?
Yes.
So then did the cake make it without, I guess the fear that anybody who's doing a gender reveal has, will there be a pink mark on the box, or will there be a blue sprinkle over here? Or sometimes there's blue and pink sprinkles on top or whatever, and then the inside are.
Yeah.
Did all of that go smoothly?
So we had the cake, right? So when Jeremy and I are opening up the cake and everything, Jeremy notices that we had like a ribbon on top that said Baby Barajas, and on the side of the ribbon, I guess they dipped it in a color that's opposite of the baby's gender. So it was like the whole, I don't know if when they did the ribbon, it had laid on the opposite color. And so it was on there and I didn't see it, but Jeremy saw it. So Jeremy was like, do I already know?
But did he tell you or did
he didn't tell me.
Okay.
So we opened it up and we did the whole thing and he was like, I was convinced it was the opposite because of this. And then he showed me. And it was colored on the side, the opposite color. And he was like, I was convinced it was the opposite because of whatever, that I just saw. And I was just hoping that they accidentally dipped it in the opposite color. So that was one thing. So he got a little bit of a shake there, right?
Yeah.
Then Kalel really wasn't paying attention at all. He wasn't really in the video because he was running around. And
I don't even think I've seen him walk in person.
he doesn't walk.
You said running around.
Okay, crawling around fast.
In my head, I'm like, dang, he's running already?
No, he's crawling. He does not want to walk very much at all. Yeah.
Okay.
He's a little more on the lazy side. Nah, it's not that he's lazy. It's that we pick him up too much.
Nice.
So then there was...
So you got a video? Do you like the video that you got?
Yeah, it's okay.
Was it really clear when it happened? Because when we did ours, it wasn't clear for me and many of the guys who we could not understand what the color was. Angelita had to tell me verbally, and I was like, oh, yeah. Anyway.
I was thinking about that before we did. I was like, oh, I wonder if it'll be super easy to tell. But when we did it, I made sure to like lift it up and turn it around so that we could be 100% sure, and so that the camera could see.
And was it really clear?
Yeah, it was really clear.
Oh,
Yeah, I thought so. I thought so,
nice.
at least.
You navigated that story with. I was curious if you were gonna mess up at one point because you even said the opposite color. Da, 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 and I was like, oh wow, she did good.
Yep. Yeah. So that was great.
Yeah, well done. So then, it's public Sunday.
Yes, Sunday goes live.
Okay.
So then everybody will know by then.
Yeah. So right now, you know, Jeremy knows, I know. Anybody else?
No, that's it.
Has anybody been? So, but does everybody know that you know now?
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm.
Yes.
And have they pried at all?
Mom a little bit, but
What was her tactic?
she said, "Just tell me."
Oh.
She keeps saying this stuff like, "Is Kalal's little sibling?" You know, she'll say little sister, little brother, and then she's like, "Kalal, if I say brother and it's a boy, shake your head. If I say girl and it's, you know, because you're having a sister, say you know, shake your head." And she'll say brother, sister, and Kalal's like this. Like it's like he understood her and he held super still.
Nice. So then Kalal. Oof. Nice.
Yeah.
I'm also trying to be mindful of not saying anything. So I'm
Yeah.
like, what do I say? Okay.
Yeah, so we're super excited. We're going to do, I have so many things to plan for Kalal's birthday. And I'm trying to get everything done by Wednesday so that I'm not stressing myself out, which is tomorrow. So, hoping for the best.
And what's the plan for the inside of the house?
Nobody's going in there. That is the plan.
Where are they going to the restroom?
Outside. In the grass. No, I'm just kidding.
In the pool.
In the pool room, in the little restroom that's in there. So I'm going to put up a curtain in there so that it's nice and...
Is there a sink?
Yeah, there's a sink.
Mm.
So the curtain will be...
Is that pool room clean?
Yeah, it's clean.
Mm.
Cleared out, pretty much.
So how many do you think... Is there AC in that room?
No.
Oh. I'm just wondering because, I mean...
Just use the restroom before you go, Derek.
I do have a pregnant wife.
She can go inside.
Okay, you said nobody's going in.
Anybody who's previously been inside can go inside, Derek.
Okay, so nobody who's new.
Yeah.
So if anybody else is having a heat stroke, too bad.
Yeah, that's too bad. Jump in the pool.
Yeah.
But
Nice.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, Jeremy's out there. There's a giant lavender bush. I told him that I wanted him to cut all the lower branches so that it's more like a lavender tree. So he's doing that today. Plus lavender, they say, keeps some bugs away. I've been trying all these different things, like what can I do to keep bugs away? So I'm like, I've bought the candles and the sprays, and I bought like little containers for everybody to put their food in so that they can close their food in.
So the plan is hamburgers and hot dogs?
Yes.
Grilled or
Grilled.
stoved?
Grilled.
Who's on the grill?
Hopefully Jeremy and my dad. Because
Both? Does your dad do well sharing the grill?
Not really, because he was supposed to teach him on Father's Day. But I know Jeremy's not going to want to be helping with all the other party preparations, so he has to be doing something. Plus, if Jeremy's not doing anything, then what I'm going to do is the first couple of guests, I'm going to make Jeremy come and greet everybody with me, so then he'll be more inclined to be happy to just go and make the burgers.
Do you already know your outfit for the day?
No, I don't know anything.
What about Kalal's?
No. I have his little Superman outfit, but I don't know if that's what we're going to do.
What about Jeremy's?
Jeremy's just going to wear whatever. I just don't argue with him anymore. I let him just do whatever he wants. I might buy, like, matching shorts for him and Cologne. But me and Jeremy are supposed to get T-shirts that say Super Mom, Super Dad, or Kalal's Super Mom.
You're gonna get them like that made, or you're gonna buy them and then make them?
No, get them made.
Which one was it? Buy them made or
buy them made?
Oh, okay.
Like get the thing made. Get it?
There's two
buy them made.
Buy them already done.
Hopefully.
Okay. I guess it's probably like Amazon.
I don't know. Diamond said she was gonna do that.
Okay, so there's probably she's gonna just make it herself on the thing.
No, I don't think. I think she's getting the design made somewhere else, and then she's gonna put it on the shirt. So like she's not making the design.
Okay. So can I show you what I am? Okay, on our baby shower, we were trying to figure out what shoes I'm gonna wear. What? I don't understand your face. I don't understand your judgmental face. My ego is.
It wasn't judgmental. It was. I'm glad you care. It took Jeremy everything for me to find an outfit for him to wear to our baby shower. I went and I was like, oh, this is the dress. These are the shoes. Perfect. Jeremy was
for him?
like, no, for me.
Got it.
And then when we went with Jeremy, it was like, I don't want that. I don't want to do this. Let's do this. Let's do something else. I was like, for somebody who doesn't care what they wear, you're awfully picky.
I wonder if the internet's gonna let us do something, or it's gonna struggle. Let's see.
So I'm excited.
Any luck, internet?
But I don't think I'm gonna have any more kids.
2 is done?
Yeah. At least for a long while.
So, would you have him get snipped, or would you pursue another?
I'd like that to be the solution. But he doesn't want to. I said, what is he gonna do? I set up the appointment. I don't even tell him what it's for. Really? He has anxiety talking to people and confronting people. If I set it up and I just take him over there, is he really going to tell them no?
There's a number of people that I know. It's surprising how many men are willing to get snipped. And I wonder, is it because their spouses have given birth and they saw the pain that she had to go through in the delivery process, that they're like, oh, okay, well, you went through that. I'll go through this. Cause
is it really that bad, Derek?
Is what bad? You're the mom in the room. What are you
No, getting snipped.
It's the worst possible thing that could ever happen to a man. What's worse?
It's losing the whole thing.
Okay, yeah. Okay, beside that, that's A1 worst thing that could happen. What's worse?
You could lose a leg.
Okay, A2. What's worse? What was worse than those?
Missing a tongue.
It's kind of the same category. Any other category?
Okay. Death.
So I'll tell you about something offline, but we won't talk about it online. But it's so weird how I'm more normalized to death than I am to other things that happen to people. And I think certain other things are like not even that bad, or are way worse to me. Like death's like, oh, that would be an easy way for other people to go through. I guess to watch somebody suffering is challenging. To watch that. Anyway, all I have to say is you would want him to get snipped. Okay, cool.
But
so 2 might be. You think 2 is it?
Yeah, he might not want to. But I've been looking up how much it costs to get your tubes, or no, not how much it costs, when you're able to get your tubes tied. And they're like, they won't even, like, they will give you the runaround until you're like 30. And I'm not 30, obviously. Almost halfway there.
I suppose our internet's not working on this secondary computer, so people would just have to imagine what. Maybe I'll pull them up next week on our stream. But by then I'll have to have ordered them already, so maybe I'll get your opinion offline. All right. Let's see. I'm thinking about doing... Okay, do you have fears about being a mom?
Yeah.
So, primary fears, what are like maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? Like
dying.
Yes, that's mine too. Okay.
That's
the primary.
Primary fear, dying.
Okay. So then what is your, maybe it's me being tactical, but I go, a fear of me dying means I have to try to teach as much as I can
while you're here.
While I'm here.
Yeah.
So I almost want to do like a daily series of
things to know.
Questions my son might ask, and here's my answer. So they're forever recorded, on the internet. But yeah.
Yep.
What are some questions you think, or this is kind of connected to parenting, which is what are some things you absolutely want to make sure Khalil knows, outside of like his parents love him and right?
Absolutely, and I think we've talked about this before. Like respect yourself. You know, like if whenever you're doing something, if it's something you're okay with living in your memory for the rest of your life, make sure that you're okay making certain decisions. Respect yourself and respect the kind of person you're going to be. That would be number one.
It's so broad. Can you be, again, I get it. I'm curious of how old somebody has to be to fully grasp that. I think that maybe that a 29-year-old could grasp that. I wonder about the rest of a growing boy, young man.
Yeah. Like, okay, let's say like just even in general.
So it's almost like what you were saying is like do something you won't regret, or don't do something you will regret.
Kind of, but like if you're gonna regret it, like it's okay to have regrets and to like not be okay with things, but like when making a decision, like just, or when making impulsive decisions, try to come to terms with the decisions you're making.
I think, but isn't that like almost the opposite of impulsive? So in other words, don't be impulsive, and then, which is a biblical thing, which like it talks about like haste leads to poverty, but diligent plans lead to profit. Like the idea of being diligent in planning is better than being hasty.
Yeah, it's okay to be spur of the moment every once in a while and try to do something fun. But don't do something bad in the spur of the moment. Like, I'm going to rob this person real quick.
Ooh. We can do maybe next week we can do a series on that. Dear son on my side and dear children on your side. And then...
Well, by next week,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't say it. Well, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We'll be able to put specific.
Right. But regardless of the title, but the idea of maybe that could take on a life of its own while we discuss. Because there's so much of my brain that wants to give lessons to my kid.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What's the next one I have is... Maybe the last one. Has anything shifted for you as a parent? So what some people say is that when they were a non-parent, they're like, oh, my kid's never going to have the phone or screen or whatever. But then they become parents. Oh, this is a nice way to let them get distracted while I have a break from them or whatever. Yeah. If you had any shifts as a parent where you thought it one way before and then became a parent, now you're thinking about it differently.
One of the only things is I don't speak as much Spanish to Khalil as I wanted to. I do try really hard. Like, I'm not super, like, no screen time ever kind of parent. I'm more like, I just don't want him to be super interested in it. I try to never give him like screen time. Like if he wants to play with my phone, like I'll let him play with my phone. But literally, he just throws it around. You know, he likes to drop it off things and stuff. But he's not like, I don't put a video on and then give him my phone.
Yeah.
Like I don't ever do that because I don't like that. But I do tell Jeremy and I tell Mom and I tell my dad too. Like if I don't want Kalel to be watching screen time for more than, you know, something specifically for Kalel. I don't want him to be watching anything specifically for him for more than 15 minutes twice a week.
Yeah.
So if Jeremy's watching Kalel, Jeremy really does like to just put something on sometimes and like chill out. But I have Kalel most of the time and he plays like by himself. Like I feel like it's okay for him to get bored and like, you know, we just find something else for him to do. Like in person, you know, if he's like, oh, like bored with his toys, or if he has his toys and he's not like being interested in them, we'll read a book or, you know, we'll do something else. So I think that's something that I'm glad that I've been able to keep up with. But he's only a year old, so we'll see.
Yeah. So I know you took the question somewhere else, which
I
again, appreciate those thoughts. So then the Spanish part.
But yeah, I
Does
don't.
your dad speak to him in Spanish?
No.
So he's not going to know Spanish?
Well, I mean, ideally, within the next few months, I want to start leaving him at my grandma's house more often.
Julia.
Yeah.
Mm.
So if he's over there more often, he'll learn to speak Spanish.
Got it. And then the context of that is, do you have a vision of something changing with that? Like, somebody might have the vision of, hey, full-time mom, hey, that's what I'm trying to do. Other people might, no, actually, I want to pursue career or schooling or whatever it is while he's at Grandma Julia's.
No, definitely while he's at my grandma's house, I want to be able to get other things done. So, like, I'm trying to just get to a point where I'm able to help Mom with the things that she has going on more. So once Kalal's a little bit bigger and he's able to like hang out for a while and I'm not pregnant anymore, I think it will be a lot easier for me to move around and do things.
Yeah. Got it. Indeed. All right. Well, I think that's all I got. You got anything else?
Nope.
Next week's chapter is on, let's see, it's a law of the mirror.
Law of the mirror.
You must see value in yourself to add value to yourself.
Personal development is the belief that you are worth the effort, time, and energy needed to develop yourself.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for tuning in to another episode, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.